Okay, how can you write fractions and decimals as percents? Let's look at a couple different ways here. So 2/10 is a fraction, and the easiest way to do this is if the denominator goes evenly into 100. 10 times 10 is 100, 2 times 10 is 20, so 2/10 is equivalent to 20 hundredths. Percent means per 100, so that's 20%. Okay, down here, 8 25ths, we're going to write an equivalent fraction. 25 times 4 is 100. 8 times 4 is 32. 32 hundredths is 32%. So if your fraction goes evenly into 100, writing equivalent fractions and then percents is a great way. Okay, now sometimes your denominator won't go evenly into 100, but you might be able to reduce the fraction. 6/8 reduces to 3/4. Okay, I can write an equivalent fraction with 100 as a denominator. 75 hundredths is 75%. Okay, 12/30ths. If I divide the numerator and denominator by 6, I'll have 2/5, and then I can write an equivalent fraction with 100 as the denominator, and 40 hundredths is 40%. Okay, so sometimes you can reduce your fraction and then write an equivalent fraction with 100 as the denominator. Now sometimes neither one of those strategies will work. Let's take a number like 2/3. Okay, we've got an odd denominator here. It doesn't go evenly into 100. So here's a strategy that will work with any numbers. Okay, you can make the fraction a decimal. You can make any fraction a decimal by dividing the numerator by the denominator. 2 divided by 3. Okay, I'm going to bring my decimal up. Okay, and I'm going to see here that I'm going to get a repeating decimal. Okay, this is going to go on and on. Okay, so 2/3 is a decimal, is 0.6 repeating. Now to make any decimal a percent, you multiply by 100 or move the decimal 2 times to the right. Now the reason I went out at least 3 places here is I want to move my decimal out, and I've got 66.6 repeating percent. To make any decimal a percent, move it twice to the right because that's the same as multiplying by 100. Let's look at another example here. So sometimes you can't use equivalent fractions, okay, but you know that with any fraction you can make it a decimal by dividing the numerator by the denominator. So 7/8, I'm going to make a decimal and then divide the top by the bottom. Okay, and if you don't get a repeating decimal, like in the last example, you have to make sure you go out until the decimal terminates. So I'm going to keep going here. I'm going to add another 0. Okay. And now I have a terminating decimal. I've got 875 thousandths, and to make any decimal a percent, remember percent means per 100, you can move the decimal twice to the right or multiply by 100. Okay, it's going to do the same thing. So 7/8 is equivalent to 875 thousandths, which is 87.5%. So those are 3 different ways that you can make fractions decimals. Remember, if you can write an equivalent fraction with 100 as a denominator, that's a real simple way of doing it. Okay, and then write it as a percent, 80%. Sometimes you might have to reduce the fraction first in order to be able to do that. Okay, and if that doesn't work, you can make any fraction a decimal by dividing the numerator by the denominator, and you can make any decimal. Okay, 3/4, 3 divided by 4 is 75 hundredths, and you can make any decimal percent by multiplying by 100. Percent means per 100, and whenever you're multiplying by 100, that's the same as moving the decimal twice to the right.